What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to be testing out a Mr. Buddy portable heater in a tent. We're going to see how warm it can keep our tent for the night. It's not super cold out right now, but it's supposed to get down to about I think upper 30s, like 37, 39, something like that. I think I saw it. Yeah, we're just set up right here in my backyard. I went camping, so kind of the purpose behind this video. Last weekend I went camping in this exact same tent with the exact same heater that we're going to be using today, but there's going to be a couple differences. Last weekend it's about 35 degrees out. I didn't have a thermometer inside the tent with me, but it wasn't super warm in there. I would say probably about 50 degrees. So we're going to see if we can get it a little bit warmer this time. And how I plan to achieve that is basically by having more insulation, less gaps from the inside of the tent to the outside of the tent. What happened last time was I didn't have a carbon monoxide detector and I didn't want to wake up dead, so I left the roof vents kind of wide open. I did have a rain fly on top. It doesn't have the rain fly on it right now, but these roof vents right here from the bottom, they were wide open. That way we could have air, you know, fresh air from the outside coming into the inside of the tent where there is a combustion appliance making heat, which is that little bad boy right there. That's the Mr. Buddy portable heater. I think it's 9,000 BTUs. So yeah, without having a carbon monoxide detector to just, you know, double check and keep me safe, I'm sure it's fine, but just to, you know, wife and kids, don't want to leave them behind, so want to make sure I stayed alive. So I left everything open so I'd have plenty of fresh air coming in, and that's going to be the main difference between you know, last weekend and today's video, is the amount of, I guess, insulation you could call it. I'm going to be putting some wool blankets up here between this roof here and the rain fly, and hopefully that'll keep a lot more of the heat in. I am going to leave that little floor vent down there open. Let me show you that from the back side. I'm going to leave that open just so we can have some fresh air coming in, and carbon monoxide is more dense than air, so it sinks to the floor. So it theoretically, if there is any or whatever there is in the tent, it should sit on the floor, and then hopefully having a floor vent, it'll kind of, you know, the fresh air will come in and out of the tent and kind of sweep that out of there, so to speak. So yeah, that's going to be the main difference, is the amount of insulation that our tent has. And you know, with it being a tent, it's not very insulated at all, probably less than like an R1, I would imagine. Even with the wool up here is probably like an R1 or something like that. But I've done it before with no heat source, just body heat. My wife and I went camping before, and we were in Harper's Ferry. We went one night, it was in the 30s. We were freezing cold. Even with sleeping bags, we were pretty cold. And then the next night I had this bright idea, you know, learning or using what I learned in you know, Building Performance Institute school, and when I was an energy program coordinator and all that, to say, hey, well, what makes it not hot in here? Air, cold air coming from the outside, it's getting into here. So I decided to take a blanket, a wool blanket I think we used before, and basically stuffed it between the roof and the rain fly, and noticed it was quite a bit warmer the second night. And then I had a friend that actually had, I think he had the same heater that I'm going to be using tonight, and he did the same thing with his tent, and he said it was like 85 degrees in there. So I don't know. We're going to do our own test. We're going to see how warm we can get it tonight. There is one other difference. Before, we're using these little 1 pound you know, propane. Yeah, this is straight propane too. I thought it was a mix for some reason, but yeah, we're using these little 1 pound propane canisters before. This time we're going to be using a 20 pound propane tank. There's a little adapter that I got that's going into the inside of the tent and plugs right into where you would normally screw this in. And why I chose to do that, for a couple reasons. Main reason being it's cheaper. These things are about $5 a piece. I went through 3 of them last time, which seems kind of crazy to me because they're supposed to last on the low heat setting here. Supposed to last on low for 5.4 hours. I was probably about 10 to 6 is when I slept last time, and I used 3 of these, so it was about $15 to keep me not really warm. Not the best investment. So, and also I had, so with that being said, you know, I had to wake up every 2 hours or so to replace this thing, right? Because it actually woke me up. The sound of this thing was making when it's running out of fuel, it starts like sputtering and stuff, and it woke me up, you know, like every 2 hours, and I had to change it. And they were like iced up real bad. I think this 20-pound tank is a little more sturdy, it's a little more insulated, so hopefully it won't do that. And that might have been what was killing the life on these things, since it was so cold outside. Maybe they just, you know, working for that long, they get frosted up, and I don't really know, but maybe that affects the longevity of them. But anyway, so yeah, we won't have to wake up every 2 hours to change it, hopefully. It's a 20-pound tank, so we should be good. And we might get some increased efficiency out of it too, I don't know, so we'll see. But right now we're kind of just, this is like the skeleton of the tent. We'll resume the video when I've got the air mattress in here and the rain fly with the makeshift insulation on top. Alrighty, welcome to my domain. So this is what we got going on in here. Actually, let me start with the outside. So, what the hell is that? The dog's trying to twist my ankle before we even get started. Alright. So yeah, got the propane. This is the rain fly that I was telling you about. And we've got a wool blanket stuffed in between there. Okay, come in so you can see pretty much, I'd say about 95. There's one little sliver of that vent that's not covered up by the wool blanket. It's just not quite big enough. Have to get another one at some point, I guess. Yeah, so that's the insulation up there on top. Also, I put another blanket, so I rigged up this little, if I can see any that's free, not really. Anyway, there's like a little paracord square around the top here that I rigged up that I can just hang stuff on, or make one of these little bad boys. It's just like a shorter roof, and the reason for that, again, learned some things back in my previous life, my previous career when I was an energy program coordinator. So one of the ways to reduce your energy bill, or reduce your energy consumption in this case, is to, you know, when you're heating a space, what matters is where the heat's coming from, like how much heat that burns, how much electricity it uses, da 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 da, and also how big is the space that you're trying to heat. So by chopping, you know, all that, not really square footage I guess, but cubic footage out of the tent, I don't know how many cubic feet it is, but it's you know, it's like a pyramid shape, and it's probably at its tallest maybe 2.5 feet or so, you know, in the very middle, and then it gets more narrow on the sides. But it's a considerable amount of space that we won't now have to heat. Now, is some of the air going to travel, you know, up these little cracks and get in there anyway? Yes. But the air coming in from the outside, or the air escaping from in here, I should say, has to go through now this wool blanket, this space, and then that wool blanket as well. So not only are we slowing down the heat transfer by putting some in the middle, but we're also kind of sort of limiting the space that we actually have to heat. All right, plus it looks cool. So got a couple blankets, got a little Ozark Trail sleeping bag. By the way, this is an Ozark Trail tent too. Lily, put that out. Get out of here. Yeah, got this big thick air mattress, which, like I said, that'll keep me nice and high up off the floor. So if there is any carbon monoxide buildup, you know, it should be going out that vent right there, which is still open. I got to make sure that that stays open tonight. I'm gonna rig something up with that. But even if I, you know, wasn't here, carbon monoxide was building up, at least I'm not right down on the floor where it is. It's got a little thin pillow. I don't really like sleeping with a thick pillow. I used to like big thick pillows, but I guess I'm getting old. It makes my neck hurt. And then I just got a couple extra blankets. You know, my wife really loves me a lot, and I'm sure she can't sleep without me and wants to come out here when it's 30 some degrees outside. So just in case she decides to join, or in case I get cold, which is more likely, then I got that. Yeah, so when I'm sleeping here, this, you know, I've only got about maybe a foot or 18 inches maybe between me and the roof, so that's good. So that's not a whole lot of space here to heat. And this here isn't hanging down, or, you know, right in front of my face. Not going to tickle me while I'm sleeping or anything like that. So come over here. I did this time do something. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all something earlier, but I'll get there. This time I put these 2 little paver stones underneath this thing just to give it a nice sturdy surface. Last time I was just sitting on the ground. It was fine. It didn't tip over, and it's got a tip over shut off switch, so theoretically you'd be safe if it tipped over, but you know, I don't know. I don't trust that with my life anyway. So now it's on these paver stones. Seems pretty secure. And also maybe the big reason why I did it is last time I just had it sitting on the floor. I noticed the floor was getting a little warm. It definitely wasn't hot. Didn't feel like it was melting or anything. It was definitely a little warm. So now, you know, we've got some space between it and the floor. So hopefully that'll help to dissipate the heat and not heat the floor up anymore. And in addition to giving it a stable surface. Big thing that I forgot to mention that we're also doing this time that we did not do last time is, so these new buddy heaters do not come with a fan in them. So they just radiate heat, but they don't actually do anything to move the heat around. I noticed when I was sitting on the bed last time, if I like hung my arm over the side or got really close to the edge, I was warm. But if I was on the other side, which for whatever reason, that's where I seemed to like to be, it was not warm at all. So we got this little fan here and hopefully it seems like it works pretty good. It's not a very big fan, but it does have some speed to it. So hopefully what will happen in theory is that the heat will radiate up from here. Originally would get trapped in this like little pocket and kind of hang out there until it cools off and falls down. But now the air trapped in this little pocket will get sucked through this fan and distributed to the rest of the tent. So we'll see how that works. And just to make sure this thing does work before tonight, all right, there's the burner. Supposed to leave it on for like 30 seconds, but I found that it doesn't need that long usually. Probably burn. Oh, there we go. Probably couldn't see it, but it just lit up. So yeah, it's on now. I'm gonna put it all the way onto the lowest setting without turning it off. You can't see it now. At nighttime, this would be like glowing like orange or whatever. Yeah, but you can't see it right now because it's light outside. And then test this little fan. Oh, I can feel it getting hot already. I'm gonna turn this up on high because this pretty large amount of space between the heater and the top, but I don't want to like melt anything. So I'm gonna turn the fan on high. Oh, dang, yeah, that's gonna be nice. I can already feel that's blowing out like straight hot air, and this thing's only on low. Of course, it is also 50 degrees outside right now, so definitely not as cold as it was last time. We'll see how it works when it cools off quite a bit in a couple hours. So yeah, that's my let me turn this off before I forget about it. It is off. Turn the fan off. Actually, I'm gonna take this back inside and charge it because I don't even know when the last time it was used was. Okay, cool, that's off. Yep, so anyway, that's my little setup for tonight. And I will see you guys when it gets dark and I'm ready to go to sleep and test it out. What's going on, everybody? It is nighttime. It's about 9 o'clock. I'm getting ready to go out and preheat the tent. This is the time I probably should be going to bed every night, but don't. As I'm sure plenty of you guys are in the same boat. So we're gonna come out here to the tent. Got everything all set up. Added a couple more things in here since the last part of the video. Gonna preheat the tent a little bit. This is probably what I would do. Like if I was actually camping out at like a campsite or just out in the woods somewhere, I'd probably, you know, a little bit before bed, just get the heater going, get a little fan going, get some heat in here and some air circulating. Hopefully, you know, by that time that I was done playing around with the campfire and everybody's going to bed, I can come back in and get a nice warm tent. So a couple more things that we added. Got the CO detector here now. Put that right by my head. I was gonna put it on the floor, but you know, I guess if it's on the floor, it doesn't really much matter. I don't want it where my face is at. If there's dangerous levels by my face, that's what I'm concerned about. So I've got it right up here by my head. My little lamp, it's got a couple different modes: off, bright, and dim. I'll leave it on dim for right now. And I got a knife. I'm just gonna sleep with that right up here in case the tent were to, you know, catch on fire or something like that. I don't want to be spending time fooling around with the door over there, trying to get it undone while I'm, you know, breathing in smoke and potentially getting a little too warm in here. So, you know, if something like that happened, I would just cut a hole right here in the side and get out real nice and quick and away from the fire. So we're gonna go ahead and start this puppy up. So everything looks good, still pretty stable, still in the same spot. I'm gonna go ahead and spark her up. I'm gonna take a couple tries. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I turned it off. Go outside here. I'm gonna turn the tank off. So the tank has a little valve on it. So we're gonna open that. See if I can do this with one hand here. Yeah, it was closed, so I'm gonna open that back up. You saw a flame. That was just, I guess, the existing gas in the line. It would have shut off after a minute or so, though. So I'm gonna go back into the tent. Whoa. All right. Try again. All right, so the burner's on. Leave that held down for a couple seconds. All right, we'll try to. There we go. All right. So there, it appears to be on at this point. It's kind of like a blue flame right now. I'm not sure if that's an issue on my end or if it just has to get warmed up, but last time it was like an orange, or like a like an orange flame on this little pad. You probably can't even see the blue flame right now, but okay, there it goes. It is turning orange now. I guess it just has to heat up or whatever. So that's on. We've got it. Oh, I think I just turned it off. There we go. All right, so that's on as low as we can go. Like I said, last time I ran it on low and it burned through a lot of fuel, so we'll see how it is this time. I don't have like a poundage gauge on the tank this time. It's just like a full empty type of gauge. Well, we'll see how it is in the morning. I can already feel the heat starting to spread. We'll go up here, turn this fan on. Ooh. So turn the light on too. I guess maybe it always has a light. Little blue light. It's got a couple different little modes. So, all right, yeah, we'll let that run for a little bit and come back after I get the kiddos to bed, and we'll see how it's feeling in here. Hopefully nice and toasty and not on fire. I just got into the tent. It's probably, the heater's probably been running for about 15 minutes or so, and so I came back out into the tent, got in, and I'm, you know, laying down for the night. I'm wondering honestly if I'm gonna have to end up cutting this thing off, because it is pretty warm in here. It's about 40 degrees outside. I think it was 42 last time I checked. It's supposed to get down to the upper 30s, I think. And I would be willing to bet money that it's over 70 degrees in here, which is what I keep my house at pretty much year round. I feel warmer. Well, I don't know. I've got a shirt on and some like pajama pants. In my house, I usually walk around like shirtless with, you know, pajamas or shorts, gym shorts, something like that on. And I'm pretty comfortable, maybe a hair cold at this time of year. I feel right now like it's at least that warm, if not maybe a little warmer. Yeah, so I'm thinking I turned it down all the way till it had shut off, and then I cranked it back on just a hair, so it's on the lowest possible setting right now. I'm really wondering if I'm gonna have to cut this thing off tonight, because it's gonna get too warm in here. I'm currently laying here, no blankets on, definitely not in a sleeping bag. I have those things with me just in case. I didn't know how this was gonna go over, but I don't honestly think I'm gonna need any of that. I probably will put like a light blanket on top of me, just because I like sleeping with a blanket no matter how warm it is. But yeah, it's pretty warm in here. So, and there are steps that I could take to seal this up a little bit tighter even. Like I said, there's a little bit of a gap up top there where the blanket doesn't quite cover the where the vents are in the roof. And the blanket, I showed y'all like that kind of tribal looking blanket or whatever. It looks like I'm in Arizona, which was awesome, by the way. That is definitely not creating like a tight seal all the way around. It's probably like 80%, covering like 80%. If I wanted to get crazy, I could like try to tape it to the sides of the tent or something like that, but I don't need to do all that because it's pretty warm in here already. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like fully heated up in here or not. It might get a little warmer over time, or it might be kind of like at its max for the heat setting I've got it. I'm running on as low as possible, but it might be kind of where it's going to be at for that heat setting, which is fine. So we'll see. I'll probably cut this thing back on in a little bit, give you all an update and see if it got any warmer. I doubt it'll get any colder. Well, I guess it could. If the temperature's gonna go down a little bit more, it could get a little colder. But yeah, we'll see where it's at. I'll probably end up waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom or something like that. I'm trying to drink plenty of water, training for a powerlifting meet, and I really need to start getting on the ball with cutting weight. So yeah, I'll probably wake up in the middle of the night, use the bathroom, and then give you guys a little update, see if anything's changed then. So I'll see you soon. All right, it is 11:55 p.m., just before midnight. Hasn't really got any hotter or colder in here, I don't think, but it is very comfortable. I don't know what exact temperature it is. They didn't have any thermometers at any of the stores I stopped at today, so I'm just gonna have to wing it. But like I said earlier, I would imagine it's probably right around 70 degrees in here, which is very comfortable considering it is, let's check the should be about 39 degrees outside right now. So yeah, I can I can deal with 70. Alrighty, so it is the next morning, probably about 8:30 a.m. if I had to guess. Just came back out here to turn everything back off. It was a good night. The heater, I definitely think the insulation helped versus without it. I'd say it was probably, I think I said in the previous videos, felt like it was probably about 70. I would say when I woke up this morning, I'd say it probably felt about 65, maybe 65 to 70. It was definitely comfortable in there. So when I woke up, you know, I was in a sleeping bag. I didn't have any blankets or anything like that on, but I was in a sleeping bag. So, you know, everything in the sleeping bag was very warm. My head and arms and everything, definitely warm, definitely better than it was last weekend, but could definitely feel a slight chill, and that could just be because it's windy, and you know, every time that wind blows, it's taking that air right through the tent, because even with the insulation that we've got up in the roof, a tent has pretty much no insulation, and it's pretty much just a thin little sheet, and air blows right through it. So it was a pretty windy day, so that could definitely have something to do with it. I definitely think the heat was spread around the tent better because of the fan, but I did notice that, you know, even still, the closer that I got to the radiator, definitely it was a lot warmer the closer I got to that. So maybe next time I'll try a bigger fan, or maybe just moving the actual heater closer to the bed, because see, the way I had it set up this time is this was right outside the tent. And so heater is right here. I could have pulled it quite a bit closer to the bed, but the line, the little hose from the propane tank on the outside got like kinked, and then it didn't want to stand upright. So I guess what I could do is I could just pull the tank inside the tent. I mean, I don't really think you know, there's really much danger to having it inside the tent. If it blew up outside the tent, I'd probably still suffer similar consequences. But yeah, so might do that next time, bring the actual tank in here, or maybe get a longer adapter so that I can, you know, put it like right over here or something like that in the future. That way it's a little closer, and then have the fan kind of, you know, right on top of it, blowing hot air like straight into my face. But yeah, it was very comfortable. I'd say probably this morning when I woke up, I'd say probably about 65 degrees, so probably a little bit less comfortable than, you know, it is inside my house year round. But overall, made for a really nice sleep on a 30-some degree night. So thumbs up.